Hello there.
Hello there.
And welcome to What If Qui-Gon Didn't Die? My name's Jamie.
And my name's Shaun.
And we love talking about Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, baby.
This is our Monday episode. This is where we like to talk about Star Wars more in depth than the Friday episode.
Yeah, a little bit less smack and cheese.
I really lost confidence in what I was saying there.
But I knew where you were going with it. It's all good. It's all good, yeah. It's less smack and cheese, sort of normal chat. This is our headcanon-y, all galaxy far, far away vibes. We talk about lots of different stuff. Blind rankings, what ifs, if somebody didn't die, what would happen, which is normally the main focus of it, And
then occasionally stuff about holidays. Just
stuff about holidays on a Monday.
Yeah,
but that was needed, that. And I think that was a good episode to have.
Yeah, well...
But we're back on schedule now.
Yeah, back at it, back in Star Wars. We could have done, if you listen to Friday, we did talk Batman.
Yeah.
I think it would be quite easy for us to do an entire episode about Batman.
Oh, yeah, maybe in future.
We could do each Batman film as its own episode.
Yeah, and it'd actually give me an excuse to watch them all again as well.
I mean, you'll like the first one.
Yeah.
The second one's all right.
Yeah.
Then it kind of takes a turn.
Yeah.
And then Christian Bale comes in, you're like, it's all right. It's good. It's all good again. And then you'll see Ben Affleck, and you'll be like, thank God you didn't have your own standalone film.
Yeah, the montage just ruined it for me.
Oh, what, the zipping up the leather?
Zipping up the leather, gym montage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you've had 4 hours to prepare, so you had a quick splash in the gym, and suddenly you're good to go again. Yeah, it don't work like that.
But anyway,
we're going off again.
We are not here for Batman today.
Oh, Batman.
Maybe that's a future thing.
Yeah.
Today, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about our marathon we did yesterday at the cinema.
Yes,
we talked about this in our episode Marathon Prep. So our local multiplex had Rogue One, Episode 4, A New Hope, Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, all playing one after another in the cinema. They weren't one big film. So what they did was they had them as 4 separate films, but it was really nice because it was Rogue One in order.
Yeah, it was all in chronological order.
Separate films, and we sat there and watched all 4, didn't we?
We did, yes. So they did do the episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, a little while ago.
Sort of in the run-up.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, yesterday they decided that Rogue One to Episode 6 were all going to be playing on the same day, same screen, starting at 11, and basically they finished, I think the credits probably finished rolling at like
20 past 10, something like that.
Something along those lines. Now, we had never really done a marathon of this length at the cinema before.
Oh, I have at home, yeah.
At home,
not at the cinema, yeah.
I've done 8 films, I think, at home. Because you get up early.
Yeah.
And then as soon as one film's finished,
you got the DVD
the next film's on, yeah.
Yeah.
So and as soon as it's the credits, you can be like, right, get the credits out.
Yeah, put the kettle on. Change that DVD over.
Yeah, go for a piss, get kettle on.
Yeah.
Get settled in again.
Yeah.
But you're sat on the sofa, so it's like it's comfortable.
Yeah.
With the difficulties with the multiplex are cinema seats just...
They don't do it for me.
They're not really very comfortable.
No.
But they weren't bad.
Yeah.
We did all right yesterday.
Yeah, I fidgeted the most in the last film, I think.
Yeah.
And I had to sit with my feet up on the chair in front of me, which I know is naughty. But nobody was sat in front. I wasn't kicking anybody in the head. But yeah, I did have to sort of arc my back and have my feet up for a little bit.
Yeah.
In the end there.
This is one of the things which I did. So we watched the first film. We watched Rogue One. And then afterwards, I went back to the car and I got my hoodie out.
Yep.
Not because it was cold. I didn't actually wear the hoodie through the day. I think I put it on briefly when we went out.
Oh, into town.
To get some food.
Yeah.
But I used that hoodie basically as lumbar support.
Yeah.
And I think it made a big difference.
Yeah, and I should have done the same. I should have brought an extra little cushion or hoodie or something. Because we did say about taking pillows, didn't we?
Yeah.
But I didn't want to squeeze one into my rucksack, if I'm honest.
And also I'd have fallen asleep.
Yeah.
To be fair, like, we love these films, but both of us at times we were struggling to keep our eyes open because it's pretty dark in there.
Yeah, it's dark, and in the quiet moments when there's not like big bangs or epic music going on, you do sort of just go, this is comfort now.
It is comfort because we're so familiar with it.
Yeah.
That it's just like, it's nice just to have it on in the background. Like, you could imagine being at home, putting it on and being like, right, now
if I fall asleep,
I'm going to go to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like if the film was a brand new film, we'd never seen it before, and you fell asleep halfway through, that would be like negative about the film potentially.
Yeah, it bored me so much I fell asleep.
Yeah. I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
But I wasn't interested in watching, so I went to sleep. That's not how it was. I think it was just the case of it was a long day.
Yeah, it was, because I did fall asleep for about 20 minutes, I think, in episode 6 there. But that's good for me, because I was feeling pretty snug the whole way through. And I'm surprised I didn't have a nap in every film.
Yeah.
And just sort of wake up and go, I'm Jamie, didn't notice.
I know, I noticed.
Yeah. Well, I sort of stayed still.
I could hear you breathing.
And then I woke up, and I know I'd been asleep because my nose was numb.
Yeah.
Where my face had slipped into my hand, crushed my nose. So my hand, my nose, and my right eye and my right cheek all felt really numb.
Yeah.
Where the pressure had been really pushing on it. I must have been properly gone.
Like proper rested on it.
Rested on it, yeah. But anyway, falling asleep aside, I did love it.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the whole thing was really good. It was nice to see all the films. Just before we get into talking about the films, the way we broke it down in between, so we knew roughly before we went in, by doing some simple maths.
Yeah.
You've got the credits that roll. That's going to be at least 5 minutes. Then they've got to clean the screen. That's another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you've got adverts and you've got trailers.
Yeah.
So we knew we were going to have roughly half an hour between from film to film.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a window. So like after the first film, we nipped to the supermarket next door.
Got some lunch.
Got lunch because it was lunchtime.
Yeah.
Then after the second one, we went into town and we got some dinner.
Yeah.
Because then it was starting to get a bit late, and also
everywhere was shut 'cause it's a Sunday.
Yeah, and we knew the rain was going to be coming as well. So did we want to trek into town when the rain was there, or did we want to make the most of it while it was dry?
Yeah.
So we took some calculated risks, and
it worked out well.
Yeah,
it's all right. It's
and then all we had to do is in between the last two films is just then we allowed ourselves some popcorn.
Yeah,
which we refrained from properly getting like all the snacks, the cinema snacks until the end.
Yeah, I didn't even have popcorn at the end.
No,
because I had me Nana and me spare packet of crisps that I had and the chocolate bar I brought. So I did I don't know if I could have had popcorn after the pizza and that. It's just a bit like, I don't know. But I did have me hot chocolate in the last film.
You did, yeah.
That probably didn't help me fall asleep, to be fair.
That's it. The hot chocolate was that was the blanket you needed.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Because I was also a little bit nippy because my hoodie wasn't the nice thick one. It was the sort of thinner one. Yeah. So when I had the hot chocolate and I just got that little bit more warm after being outside, and it was just like, I'm just the right temperature now.
Yeah. I do wonder, like, when we watched the first film, I do think it was a little chillier in there.
Yes.
But then I think from then on, I don't think it didn't feel as cold. Yeah. Like, I think it was perhaps only 1 degree more, but it was just enough to sort of be like, I'm not cold anymore.
Yeah, comfortable.
It's quite nice.
Yeah. So yeah, we went out for our little breaks in between, but they were quite nice because the multiplex screens are all upstairs, and it's 4 flights.
Yeah, at least.
So we walked up and down them to give the legs an old stretch.
Yeah,
and then obviously we walked into town and stuff. But that was actually really nice because it meant A, we went outside. Yeah. And B, we just sort of got some fresh air. I mean, I had a cigarette, but still fresh air in it. We walked around, stretched the legs, and especially on that last film, I did stretch my legs outside properly. Like I was properly stretching them just so they didn't get a sort of achy and restless leg syndrome. Yeah. But yeah, it just worked out so well. That half an hour between each film was just right.
It was just right. I think so easily that could have been more of a slog.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't. And I felt as well like each of the films didn't feel as long as it really is. Like if we went into the cinema to watch a 2-hour film that you've never seen before, because you don't know where the story's going to be or whereabouts in the story you are, sometimes it feels like it's long.
Yeah,
but
I think it's dragging almost.
But I think because we know where we're at in the film, we're like, oh, but we've only got to do this next section, and then that's it. Or we know we're sort of only a little bit here, and then we're on, and then we're on.
Yeah, and then this happens, and then this happens.
Yeah,
yeah. Because they are quite long, you know. But I don't know. I always tell myself, oh, they're really old films, so they're actually only going to be about an hour and a half long. But they're not.
No, they're not. They're at least 2 hours.
For the time that they were released, they were quite long films for that era.
Yeah, they definitely were. But we watched all 4 of these films.
Yep.
Nice to actually see them all in one go, because I think in the entire time that we've been doing this podcast, I'm not even sure if I think I've watched Rogue One once. I haven't even watched the original trilogy in that time. I think that was all last year. I'm not sure if you've watched any.
I watched I think I have watched 4, 5 and 6.
Yeah,
but that was obviously in January time when we first started, so our podcast sort of episodes were a little bit more theory based. Not, I've watched this film, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I do remember saying to you, oh yeah, I'd watched episode 4 just for a laugh. And then I think I watched episode 5 and 6 after that. It's sort of like a little still winter time. I'm just gonna cuddle up in bed with the dog and watch a bit of Star Wars. Yeah. But yeah, you've definitely seen Rogue One since we started doing this, because we talked about it. But oh my god, that film, Rogue One.
So just before we get into the specifics,
before I just start shooting my mouth off about it,
I want to just quickly ask you, of those 4 films we watched, do you have a favourite?
I don't have a favourite film. I have favourite reasons why I like them.
Yeah.
And they're all different. But I wouldn't be able to go, because I love Rogue One, but also love episode 4.
Yep.
So I can't go, Rogue One's my absolute fave, and then it goes down the list. Because they're all up there for me, but for different reasons.
Yeah, definitely. I get
so,
that.
Are you the same, or do you have, are you just going to be like, episode Rogue One?
I agree with you. I love Rogue One. I love episode 4, because episode 4 is its own story, and
it's the birth.
But it's also it's encapsulated in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Episode 5, I think, is objectively the best of the original trilogy. Objectively.
Yeah.
And episode 6 is the one that I've always said was my favourite growing up. But now looking at it...
it's... Actually, to be fair, it's probably just like a millimetre below for me, episode 6, and I don't know why.
But I think I know the reason why. So I was watching it, and I'm like, at Jabba's part, right, so we'll come back to it, because I'll talk about it in depth. So let's go back to start Rogue One.
All right.
Let's just tease people there. We've got reasons why,
and I think me and you will have the same reason for episode 6.
That'll be interesting, because we didn't actually speak about it.
No, because we sort of went home because it was raining, and sort of that was that.
Yeah, we sort of ran away and went, no, I've had enough of the day now.
Yeah. Give me a lift home, Jamie. See ya.
Right, so Rogue One, first film. This is just us getting into it. We know we've got 4 films ahead of us.
Yeah.
We know we've got roughly 11 hours left of the day.
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you think when you see the start of Rogue One?
Just because the intro is kind of different.
The intro is very different,
because it's a Star Wars story. It's not Star Wars.
Yeah, which I think actually makes it an interesting choice for Sunday, as a marathon, because it's not episode 4, 5 and 6, which it probably should have been. What they've done is gone, do you know what, people love Rogue One, and do you know what happens at the end of Rogue One? It leads into episode 4.
Yeah, exactly.
So even though it's a
prequel,
even though it's not the same,
it's still part of the thing.
If we include it, it's so seamless in that it has to be there, and I think it was perfect for that reason.
Yeah.
But yes, a very different vibe
to start. But in some weird way, it made me more excited for episode 4.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is for this.
Yeah.
But now all I'm doing is looking forward to episode 4.
Exactly.
Because I love 4 so much. But yeah, and it starts and then... But the thing about Rogue One, which I've always said they do really well, is they do sort of the screen wipes, the music, the fades, you know, the way it's filmed. Because it's obviously a lot more serious, Rogue One at the beginning. And it is quite serious.
Yeah, it's not... I wouldn't say it was... it's not a comedy, not by any stretch, with the exception of K2SO.
Yeah. Who is just... his the way he talks makes it funny and you have a little chuckle. But it's a very serious film.
Yeah.
And actually, it's very distraught in that everybody dies.
Exactly. And that's it, isn't it? That's, I think, what sets it apart from every other film that you watch, is every character you see in Rogue One dies.
Yeah, yeah. and you think, oh, such a great film. Nobody survived. It's kind of... It's also left on a point where all the good guys have died, but somehow the good guys have won. Yeah.
But also the bad guys didn't lose, but they've also not died.
Yeah. Yeah, so the bad guys are still kicking about, but they're kind of on the back foot because of these heroes, which are unsung. But again, another reason why I love Rogue One. They couldn't be alive.
No.
Because episode 4 would have to mention them.
Yeah, well,
They don't mention them, do they?
They only mention the difficulty of getting the plans.
Yeah, it's so difficult. And they show the little pictures on the screen, and then you're like, oh, that's the same picture they used in Rogue One, because Rogue One took the pictures from episode 4.
Yeah.
It's just, ooh.
It's very, very well done.
Oh, they just, and having Saul Guerrero in there, which is obviously from a bit more of the animated stuff.
Yeah.
And he's got quite a big part in that. And then what they did was, because it's really well done, because you obviously have Saul Guerrero, and in the animated stuff and the build up to his thing and the fact that he moved away from the rebellion and he's like an extremist, it takes it away from, oh, we just got good guys and bad guys here. It's, we got good guys, bad guys, but then we've got actual terrorists. And we've got people who are extreme in the fact that kids wouldn't be able to watch Saul Guerrero, and if they knew what he got up to, they'd be like, oh, he's not really a rebel though, is he?
No,
he's still a bad guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to think about him. But they sort of closed off that storyline because, why? He's not mentioned again.
No.
You know, the legacy of Saul Guerrero dies with him, because otherwise they'd mention him in 4, 5 and 6. So they had to sort of go, do you know what we'll do? We're going to close off a couple of storylines there.
And I tell you what I like about it is, when I watched Rogue One, many, many times I've watched it, I didn't get a lot of the references that were there.
Yeah.
Because they're from the Clone Wars, from the animated stuff, and it's only since like you've spoken about it, and then I've picked up, like we watched Ahsoka and stuff like that, and you start to get more reference to these characters that existed. So like Saw Gerrera exists, but not generally in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But he does in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Or
Rebels and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah.
Same with there's a line dropped in as well, if you remember, that is throwaway, and if you don't know, you would never know. So over the Tannoy system,
at the Rebel base,
there is a call for General Syndulla.
Yeah.
So we know Syndulla
is from, well, you would know her from Ahsoka.
I know from Ahsoka.
Yeah, Hera Syndulla, and I obviously know her from Rebels.
Yeah.
And then obviously Ahsoka, and like I turned to you and I was like, you know who that is now, didn't you?
And I was just like, oh, I could hear it. And I was looking at you going, that's
Hera Syndulla. And then there's I think Chopper's in there just running around in the background. But if you didn't know, like the little tiny thing you see of Chopper, you'd be like, oh.
See, I didn't even see Chopper, so now I
don't know if he's in there. I'd have to look into it.
I reckon if Hera Syndulla's in there, Chopper's going to be in there.
He might just be in the background somewhere, just like speeding around, the little war criminal. But how lovely though, because when they made the film, so they've obviously off Dave Filoni, and they've gone, look, you've got these characters, but they're a big part of this, and the time frame's right. Shall we? And he's gone, dipshits, because it's all canon.
Yeah,
you know?
and you might as well, because it's their little Easter eggs. but they're not like a massive. I think what I appreciate about those is if you know, you know, but if you don't, you'll never notice, and it actually means nothing. It makes no difference to the story. You didn't have to know about these people.
Yeah,
they're not really included, but they're just there as
a little throwaway thing.
Yeah,
and like you say, when I turn to you and I go, look, that's Hera. They're calling for Hera, but if you didn't know who she was, you would think it's just a part of the film.
Yeah.
Like, can Red Leader come to Back Bay? And you go, oh, that's just some random over noise that George Lucas has done. But really it's not, because they're just picking at my little testes, going, oh, you know who that is, don't you? Don't you? But there's loads of little things like that, and I think it's a great film for tying up. And I mean, they've done it since with Ahsoka and Mandalorian and stuff like that, bringing back young Luke.
Well, I'll pick up on another little crossover Easter egg when we get to episode 5.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Which I think is quite good, and I'm sure you'll have picked up on it at the time. But when I heard it, I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I like what they've done there."
Oh yeah, you'll have to remind me.
But I'll tell you when we get there.
Yeah, you tell me when we get there. But Rogue One.
And obviously we can't talk about Rogue One before we move on to episode 4.
Yeah.
We can't talk about it without mentioning Darth Vader.
Oh, at the end. And we mention him in every time we mention Rogue One.
The goosebumps.
Yeah. Oh, because the music, all the rebels are shouting.
And you're just so excited. And I still remember the first time I watched that in the cinema.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
I was on the edge.
Ah!
I was on the edge of my seat, and I could feel him coming. I don't know how, but I was like, something's happening.
He was pulsating inside you.
Yeah, I was like that. Fucking hell, something's happening. And then he shows up, and like I said to you in the other episode, what we recorded on this, they put a red backlight behind him. Because the saber wouldn't emit light from behind him.
No.
But they put a red light behind him because he had to be menacing. And it's like he comes out the door and the red just engulfs him. Like he's back on Mustafar, and it's just like, oh my God. And he stands there. And I did lie to you because I said I thought they enhanced his footsteps, but I couldn't hear the footsteps that loudly.
It's just the breath, isn't it?
It's the breath, but my brain sort of made him oppressive.
Yeah.
But that's just obviously my brain going, he's super all powerful. But
can I tell you something else I like about that scene that I picked up on this time? He's walking through and he's just unstoppable.
Yeah.
And he's throwing people around and he's swiping his lightsaber, but he doesn't swipe in the style of Anakin Skywalker.
No.
He does it all in the style of Darth Vader, the old, slow Darth Vader from those original films.
Powerful, almost claymore strikes.
It's just
not
like
little rapier strikes. Yeah.
It's very strong.
Yeah, committed.
Slow.
Yeah, but purposeful, sort of.
Yeah. Unstoppable.
Almost hammer.
Yeah.
It's like he's got an hammer, and cause he has it in his left hand, doesn't he? Whereas I think Anakin Skywalker was right-handed. So I think Vader's got it in the left, but he's walking down and he's got his hand out. And he's doing all the...
Yeah.
And he's just... and the way they film it, it's like it's that little tiny corridor, and he barely fits in there because he's tall.
Massive, yeah.
Because he's massive, because he's half robot. And all the rebels are shouting, and they've got the little data card, and you're literally like, he does not have to do much to get that card. He could have force gripped it out of you.
Yeah.
But he was just playing with the lot of you. And then obviously he fucked it by letting it get away. However, he was just playing with them because he could have literally just gone, right, come here.
Yeah, he could have grabbed all of them.
Thank you. He could have grabbed all of them in one massive force choke or whatever. And then, but yeah, and it's just the way it's like he's a titan. His
presence in that film, you don't even see him for the first 2/3, 3/4 of the film.
Yeah.
He's not even there, and then all of a sudden.
He's there.
He's there. He's force choking with his little hand out, like.
Yeah, and he's just like that. Oh, what is the line? It's like, don't get too ahead of your whatevers.
your aspirations get the better of you or something.
Yeah, but he's not even proper force choking. It's just a little tiny.
Yeah, it's just I'm just going to make that collar a touch tight.
Yeah, just a little baby grip, but because you don't he's doing it.
Yeah,
but you're not seeing him do that sort of hand out sort of force choke that we see in, I don't know, maybe like the Acolyte when she's doing it and she's like, ah.
Yeah,
he's just and then he turns around and it's almost sassy because he's like that. You see what I'm doing, punk?
It kind of reminds me of like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme from Django Unchained.
Oh,
he's got the little glass, the wine glass.
Yeah,
he's like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, hey, got it. Yeah.
So let's move on then.
Okay. Oh, to episode 4. Oh,
so we've got this final on Rogue One, the data card with all the Death Star plans has escaped, and we see Leia's little Corellian Corvette shoot off.
Yep.
Darth Vader then catches up right at the beginning of episode 4.
Yeah.
We've not missed anything. He's just there.
Yeah.
He's on board now because they've captured the ship
and they've boarded. Oh God.
But now that's it. It's game over. It's the last ship. He just needs to go through and
find them.
Yeah, which he does.
Yeah.
What a great way. Like, obviously this was released, what's that, nearly
36 years ago.
47 years ago or something. 47.
Oh no, yeah, 47 because I'm 34.
47 years old, by the way.
Yeah. God, Jesus.
Yeah, right. That obviously happened first, so Rogue One having that fit so perfectly.
Yeah.
It's so good to watch, like it just was meant to be.
And even though, and I think we said this, Rogue One is obviously better quality film, new cameras, CGI. They tried to make Darth Vader like he was in 77.
Yeah.
But they had to make it like, they've got the technology now.
They can make a fit.
They can make him look so much more. But like the crossover between new film and old film, it didn't jar you.
No, not at all.
Because you went, well, this is nostalgia, and that's just awesome. Yeah. So it's still awesome nostalgia. So when he comes out, and obviously the picture's a little bit grainy, the stormtroopers are stumbling around because they're just extras who don't know what they're doing, and he's he's obviously miming, and Sir James L, rest in pieces, young man, always with us with your voice acting. He's just in a room somewhere doing it. But if they literally stopped Rogue One there and started episode 4 without the intro, like, I wouldn't have cared.
Yeah.
I would have been like, great. Seamless.
It would, yeah.
Even though the quality's different, I would have just been blown away.
Yeah.
Oh. Because we had a break in between, but we were still so hyped from Rogue One that when episode 4 started, I was like on the edge of the seat, just going, amazing.
You forget about the break.
Yeah, because your brain is just, Darth Vader's coming. Yeah. He's here.
And then he's there.
Yeah. And you're like, oh God, he's here, because he just killed all the rebels and now he's on the ship and Leia's there giving him sass and he doesn't even know that she's a Jedi and his daughter, and he just...
So it's really nice watching episode 4 again.
Yeah, loved that.
And like we say, it is actually it's self-contained.
It could be a standalone film, and they could have done no other Star Wars. Yeah, they could have done nothing else with it.
And I really liked it.
Yeah,
I've always really liked it. Obviously, I don't think the pacing's off or anything like that. I think if they made it today, they would change some stuff up. But I think overall, the pacing works on it.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird because it feels like there's two endings.
Yes.
And I've always said this, when Darth Vader fights Obi-Wan and then they escape on the Millennium Falcon,
could be the end of the film.
That could be the end of the film.
Yeah.
But then that's really halfway.
That's like Act 2 done. Now on to Act 3.
Yeah.
Almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy all that, but sometimes when I watch it I feel like it drags on a bit after that point because you're like, oh yeah, we're right at the end, and it's like, oh no, we're not.
Yeah, there's loads to go, yeah.
But yesterday it wasn't like that. It was just like, no, I'm prepared for it. I know it's not the end. I know there's a whole other bit. And it went through so quick.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was sat in an uncomfortable chair for ages.
No.
I've got to admit, because I was so excited for episode 4, and seeing the old stuff and the grain. And then like when you said about obviously I mentioned about Han Solo, and you were like, yeah, they made it look like he walks on his tail,
Yeah.
because he obviously never used to be a slug. And when I looked closely, you're like, yeah, that's just some crap cut and paste.
It's horrific.
It's horrific.
And we'll get into more of this horrific CGI, especially by the time we get to the last episode.
Yeah, just.
But
there's stuff like that, and I'm going, yeah, look, he does stand on his, like, and even I've seen it a million times, my brain just sort of doesn't realise how shoddy, and George Lucas has gone, quickly edit that bit and re-release the film.
Yeah.
To do that, or the bit where the Sand People are attacking Luke and Obi-Wan comes out, and like I said to you, I never realised how sort of warbling that scream is that he does.
Yeah.
Because he walks up looking crazy, going, a bit like old Greg from Mighty Boosh.
So when we mentioned this yesterday, I did suggest that perhaps it was a force power.
Yeah, because it might well be.
Because there's all sorts of force powers that we don't know about, but maybe that's one of those things that he's got because he's in hiding.
Yeah.
But he's also got to protect himself, but also not in a way that's going to draw attention to him being a Jedi.
Yeah, he's just a kooky old man who can do weird stuff.
And if he does a weird voice thing, that's not a Jedi trick. That's just a loud voice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whoever's hearing that is probably going to be off scared.
Yeah.
So they're not going to question, is that a Jedi? Because no, Jedi's got lightsaber. They're just.
Because he looks like a massive Jawa with that brown cloak thing on.
Yeah, he does.
So it's like, he's a Jawa monster. Oh my god, and he's making some funny warbling noise.
Yeah.
And he's going, and I was like, oh god, yeah, I never noticed how sort of. But again, because we're watching it in the cinema, like the sound is obviously a lot louder.
Yeah.
And so every little detail of noise I'm listening to, instead of just having the TV on, and say if Nana's in bed, like I haven't got it on super loud, like I'm not listening to all of the nice sound effects. But obviously in the cinema, it's in your face.
Yes.
So I did notice that a lot more, and I was just blown away. And like the lightsaber noises, and I know they're remastered as well.
Yeah.
But still,
still sound good. Everything looks good and everything sounds good.
Yeah.
With the exception of some of the CGI After Effects that they've dropped in.
Yeah, for the remaster.
In the remasters or the various remasters since.
Yeah, should have just left it alone. But there we go.
But the reason is just because it was a bloke.
Yeah.
But Jabba's not a bloke.
Yeah.
But this is actually one of the things that when we get into episode 3 is something that I think has maybe made it worse.
Yeah.
But I'll discuss that more when we get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, episode 4, I mean, overall for me, great film.
Yes.
I love seeing Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Alec Guinness, always amazing.
So good. And there was times when he does a voiceover as a Force ghost.
Yeah.
And you don't see him, but you hear the voice.
Yeah.
And all you hear is Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, because
we've been so conditioned to Ewan McGregor now.
Yes. Yeah, because you said this outside, didn't you? You were like, Ewan's done a really good job of taking Alec Guinness and the way he would pronounce Obi-Wan's stuff, and he's put his own twist on it, but sort of tried to retain.
He's retained a lot. I think when you see someone's face, it's sort of, you can hear their voice and you can see them and go, that's them talking.
Yeah.
But if you take their face away, suddenly it can be anybody saying something. You go, oh, actually, that sounds like
so and so.
And then and it was only one occasion when you don't see the old Ben talking.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that sounds just like Ewan McGregor, and that's quite cool. So he's obviously done a really good job, or this was an added in line.
Yeah.
That maybe they've had to which I don't think's true. I think it was just.
I think it was Alec Guinness, but yeah.
But
Ewan McGregor, like you say, he's done a great job of, sort of studying it almost and going, yeah, I need to kind of be like that.
Yeah.
Because my character turns into that.
Yeah, you need to have
in the later films.
Definitely need to give reference to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add about episode 4?
Oh, I could go on about it for ages. Love it.
Right, let's move on to episode 5 then.
Episode 5. So we finish episode 4 and they get
they've blown up the Death Star
and they get the trophies, and I was like, and I said to you, like, why doesn't Chewbacca get one, and B, why is it only Han and Luke who get one when the entirety of the Rebel Force sort of helped fight?
I think the answer to that is everybody got a medal,
But we just saw those two getting
They
theirs.
were crucial, so they got special medals.
Yeah.
I mean, they both got instant. Now they're commanders and generals
Yeah.
because of this one fight, and they've done pretty well. So then we leave that, and we had an interesting conversation in between the break here, where both of us went, "How does episode 5 start?"
Yeah.
And we couldn't remember.
Yeah.
And then
My brain went to mush.
And as soon as that scroll and text came up, I was like,
Oh,
"Oh,
Hoth.
it's Hoth." Yes, of course.
Of course it's Hoth. I was thinking Darth Vader went to see the Emperor.
And Hoth
He never sees him. He never goes to him.
It's like the first quarter of the film is Hoth.
Yeah, the entire main boss fight is on Hoth.
Yeah.
With the AT-ATs.
Yeah.
And just, oh God. But what a scene though.
I mean, it's great, isn't it? It's nice to see. I think it does well because it brings in Luke Skywalker,
Yeah.
showing off that he's learned some.
Some form of new stuff.
Yeah, now he can pull his lightsaber out of the snow.
Yeah.
So he's clearly got some talent. He's still carrying the lightsaber, so he's using that as a weapon.
He's still trying it, yeah.
Yeah, his skills have improved, but he's also in peril as usual. Han Solo's still kicking about,
Yeah.
despite the fact he's still threatening to leave.
Yeah,
He's probably left like 300 times, but he's going to come back because he can't leave him alone because he really wants to be part of it.
Yeah, he wants to be busy mates, and he still hasn't paid off Jabba, even though he could have.
He's tried so many times.
Yeah.
I think he's just trying to impress Leia.
Of course he is. He
Even
fancies her.
Even though he's also trying to play it really cool.
Yeah,
and
too cool for school.
Pretend that he doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's all her, but it's obviously not.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hoth is great.
I really like it. I like the way it brings in all the characters. I like the because you forget as well that he doesn't put Luke in the tauntaun and then that's it. He
No.
actually says, "I'm going to keep you warm in there while I get the shelter up."
Yeah.
But I always forget that little tiny bit of the end scene is him trying to build this thing in the snow. I always forget that they just don't both sleep in this animal.
Yeah.
Because my brain just goes, "Oh yeah, they both sleep in there," and then he's all right.
Then he's all
but they're
right,
never
yeah.
covered in gore when they wake up because Han obviously just makes the tent, and then he's like, "You're going to be all right now."
Yeah.
But yeah, I always forget that bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is another thing which Bear Grylls would tell you, which I find weird, and it's good that they bring Han in. And oh yeah, Han's his mate. He's gone to find Luke because he actually cares about him.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But if Luke killed the Wampa, he could just stay in the cave, which is an ice sink,
I thought that.
and then he would have survived,
Yeah.
and he could have stayed warm in the cave,
But
and made a fire.
and I agree with that.
But it's not Star Wars.
And also, if somebody tries to come and find him,
Oh,
they
yeah,
won't
then-
find him in the cave.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. But Luke should have known. Oh, it's getting dark. How long have we been on Hoth? Months and months. I know it's dangerous out there.
Yeah.
I'll wait until tomorrow. Then I'll go and use me communicator
Yeah,
to bring him
exactly.
back. Because he sees Ben, and I'm like, Ben could have come to you in the cave. Ben only came to you outside because Han was on his way and he needed you to sort of be babbling. But if you were in the cave warm, Ben wouldn't have needed to come and find you straight away.
Exactly.
It was like, but yeah, and obviously the story has to progress, but that entire thing, and I've always thought that if he just killed the Wampa though, he could have just stayed in that cave, he could have made a little fire,
Yeah.
and yeah, he could have just wrapped up. And if the tauntaun was in there, he probably had a pack on the back, he could have had a little snack bar,
Yeah.
instead of
that's
getting
it, yeah.
delirium and hypothermia outside.
It must have had something in that animal, even though it was getting eaten.
Yeah, but the case on the back of
the
it.
supplies would have been in there.
Yeah, because they have to.
Like, what's he taking out with him otherwise?
Yeah, exactly. But obviously that had to go on because we needed Leia to be like, "Oh, shut the doors." Like
Yeah.
they're going to have to be all right. They've got to be all right, R2.
Yeah,
and
that's
Chewie.
it.
And you got to see that Chewie's upset to remind yourself that he's not just an oaf. He's actually really, really smart. Chewie.
Yeah.
They make him out to be really stupid, but he's like 200 years old.
Yeah.
But great thing, and then obviously the fight with the speeders and the tow ropes is really good. And how many films after that then went, "This is how we're going to take stuff down"?
So I referenced something before. A little throwback. Those speeders, their code names are Rogue
Rogue 2,
because there is no Rogue One.
yeah, because Rogue One's the cool sign, and they're not
Yeah.
allowed to use it. Yeah,
Rogue Leader would be Rogue One, I suppose.
yeah, yeah,
But there's no Rogue One. It's just Rogue Leader, then Rogue 2, then Rogue 3, and so on.
yeah.
And I thought it was nice
Nice
That-
touch.
that Rogue One, when it was being made, has obviously watched Episode 5 and gone, where's Rogue One?
Yeah, there ain't one.
There isn't one. If we use it,
That's why.
then we can say, well, that's what that was. But also, because it was a sort of a sacrificial mission, perhaps they've honoured it by not reusing that
That
name.
name, yeah, instead of using Rogue Leader and stuff like that.
Because
yeah.
like Luke takes on Red 5,
Yeah,
which was in Rogue One as well, as one of the X-Wing pilots.
yeah,
He gets killed. Luke then, when he joins in Episode 4, he becomes Red 5.
yeah, yeah.
So they're not against people using the same names,
But it's like a little
but Rogue
Easter
One
egg
was
reference.
so special
Yeah,
that actually they've completely refrained from using it.
it's probably in the big old sort of textbook of, you know, the Codex Astartes of Rebels.
Yeah,
Thou shalt not use Rogue One.
yeah, probably.
Thou shalt not hire any Bothans, because a lot of Bothans died to bring
Yeah.
you that information. You know, leave them be. Yeah. Oh, great. And then of course, because after that he goes back to see, you know, he goes to see Yoda. He doesn't go back. Sorry, he goes to see Yoda for the first time. And this is another thing that always makes me smile about Star Wars. So you have the ships in space.
Yeah,
And these ships must be going about 1.5 million trillion kilometres an hour because they come up on a planet like we come up at the supermarket, and it always feels like the ships must be going so quick because they can pass solar regions in a blink of an eye. But then when they go into orbit, they suddenly go to like just 100 kilometres an hour,
yeah.
and it's like they go, oh, we're in orbit now, press a button, because we don't need to be super drive for space. We need to just be like Mark 10.
I would like to say that this is probably more perspective,
Yeah, of course it is.
but I get what you're saying. Like, it seems like they approach real quick, and then they stop. But really, what they're doing is approaching the camera really quickly.
Of course
And
they
the
are.
planet's still miles and
away.
miles and miles
so
away.
it takes them still a week to get there.
Yeah.
But obviously, Leia stood on the balcony for a full week waiting for this spaceship to show up,
Yeah.
you know. And it is all perspective, but it does make me laugh. And then obviously in Episode 5, and I thought this as well about the X-Wings, like, they look really slow.
Yeah,
Whereas in every other film, they obviously, they're the quick ones. Everybody loves an X-Wing. They're quick. They're zippy.
yeah,
But they're naturally not, because when he flies off to go to Dagobah as well, and this is another thing, it's an orbit ship, like, and they can fly in space, but a long journey in space,
yeah. And
like
I mean, they do jump into hyperspace, so they can do that.
the little X-Wings do have a hyperspace drive, yeah, so he
But-
probably went to Dagobah that way.
That'll be how he gets there. But I know what you mean. Like, when they meet a TIE fighter for the first time in Episode 4, oh, that little ship can't be out here.
Yeah.
It
What's that
needs-
little ship doing out here? It
Yeah,
needs a bigger convoy to...
Yeah, it needs to be part of either
thing.
there's a planet, or there's a base, or there's
Yeah.
there's another ship there somewhere, and that's why they can't work it out. But the X-Wings doesn't really apply to them. Yeah, seeing Yoda I thought was really funny
Oh, hilarious.
because he's old and comes across as being doddery and sort of like,
Kooky, yeah. Crazy.
his little laugh is funny.
Almost.
Frank Oz,
Yeah, yeah,
Miss Piggy,
yeah, yeah.
same voice. Which
Yeah.
when you first hear that, you're like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when you hear them both, you're like, oh yeah.
There we go.
It's like, it's like Darth Vader's voice.
Yeah.
And Mufasa.
Yeah. Oh, Darth Vader's your father, Simba.
No, Simba, I am your father.
No. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's cool though. Yeah, and he's like eating his food, and Luke's getting really frustrated with him.
Just like you and Genie.
Just like me and Genie. Yeah,
Yeah.
get away from my hobnobs. Come on. You're making a mess of everything now. And then he says about finding Yoda. But again, though, if you think about it deeply, it's only been 20 years.
Yeah.
And Yoda was flipping around Palpatine, giving him the beatdown
Yeah, but
in
he's just
Episode 3.
He's gone for a quiet life now, and as he's stopped
It's
He's
all
relaxed.
caught up with
It's
him.
all caught up with him. He's
Yeah.
retired, and that's it. It's
But same as Obi-Wan. You know, in 20 years, he forgot he had some droids,
yeah,
and he couldn't remember because he used a certain point of view. Because as soon as the Emperor sort of took over, the Force gave everybody dementia.
yeah.
From that time,
Yeah,
and everyone, mystical space wizards haven't been around for thousands of years. 20 years ago. It's only been 20 years. You know, and Luke seems to think they're an ancient myth, but they weren't, because they were so prominent 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's that sort of feel you get, isn't it? And it's always a funny thing about Star Wars, and they've sort of made a rod for their own back, but we still love it for that.
Yeah, we don't look too deep into the flaws, because I think we'll all
Yeah.
get upset.
Yeah. Oh, I'd never get upset. It just brings a little smile to my face, because I'm like, oh yeah, you know, it's just one of those things that makes Star Wars what it is.
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, oh, they've all forgotten. Yeah.
Other things that I enjoyed. I enjoyed seeing the Emperor for the first time.
Yes, because you
He's
see him
just
on the
a hologram,
hologram,
but
but you don't
that's-
see him in Episode 4 at all.
No. And seeing Darth Vader now is a more aggressive baddie.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's the bad guy in Episode 4 because he fights Obi-Wan, but actually he's not as hands-on as a Jedi or Sith
yeah.
character in Episode 4 as he is once he gets into Episode 5.
'Cause
And then
it's-
he's Luke's now facing off against him.
Yeah. And it says in the beginning scrolling text that Darth Vader's obsessed with Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And you know, and the funny thing is, like, you know, he's Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, yeah.
So when he hears the name, like, how many Skywalkers are there?
Well, yeah, not many.
Not
It's
many. So he must be like, he's got to be my kid.
Yeah,
And
he must know.
And he makes this whole big thing about finding your feelings, and I'm like, but you already know. This is why you're obsessed. But yeah, seeing the Emperor on the hologram, really good. And yeah, Vader does kick it up a gear, and actually, that little line in that scrolling text of he's obsessed with Luke Skywalker, you don't sort of connect the dots, but that's why he's so aggressive,
Yeah.
because he is obsessed.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they don't play such a big part on him being obsessed. They sort of said it in the scrolling text in the beginning, but you forget about that, because that's like this is where we are on the story, turn the page. But actually, that text is part of the reason the entire film is the way it is with Darth Vader.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
You
for
know?
sure.
And he's got that massive ship, and you get the Star Destroyer, and this thing's 3 times as long as it. And we had a chat about how big it was.
It's huge, isn't it?
How'd you get from one end to the other? Probably a train.
Yeah.
in a ship?
Super Star Destroyer.
Yeah, just, oh, goodness. And they have the bounty hunters
Yeah.
on board, and you see Boba for the first time, and you're like, oh, look who it is.
And you've
he's
seen all the
back.
other bounty hunters as well.
Yeah,
You're like, oh,
Boss,
yeah, look.
and the nanny droid, and
Yeah.
the Greedo wannabe.
IG-88.
IG-88, yeah, and Greedo wannabe, yeah. And Bosk's there with this funny little feet. No Cad Bane. Why?
Because he's dead.
No, he dies after that.
Oh,
But he's, at that moment in time, because of Bad Batch, we know that he's hunting younglings for the Emperor.
Okay.
Because they amended that in Bad Batch because of the time scale.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh no, is that later on? No, it's roughly sort of the same time. But he's doing stuff for the Empire anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and it might not be Bad Batch time, but it's definitely sort of around that time. But yeah, and then, but quickly on Episode 4, to just run back, in the pub,
Yeah.
we do see a Cad Bane species in the background.
Oh, really? I didn't see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, big
Oh,
red
good spot,
eyes, blue
yeah.
face, yeah. He's just quickly pan across, and you see a Cad Bane creature.
And also in the cantina, you see the 2 guys who want to start a fight with Luke.
Yeah, they were also
They're
in.
in Rogue One.
Yeah, they managed to escape Jakku the second before it blew up, and
Yeah.
somehow get to Tatooine.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah, and they were still drunk. Because it's probably only, you know.
They were on a wild ride.
Yeah, they were. Oh, God, blimey. They'd have no idea how they got there.
No.
It was like The Hangover Part 4.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
them. Yeah, because they knock into Jin, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
And then they knock into Luke.
And they also say that they don't like her.
Yeah.
Or there's words which
We
are quite
don't
similar.
like you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't like anybody.
My friend doesn't like you either.
Yeah. Oh yeah, great, funny little throwbacks. Anyway, yeah, Ep 5, really, really good. I like how it ends as well, because it's obvious he's going to do a trilogy. Now.
Yeah, at this point,
Yeah.
it ends on a bit of a downer, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You know, Luke's had his hand cut off.
yeah.
Found out that Vader's his father.
I am your father, not I am your father. Thank you, nerds.
Han Solo, he's in carbonite.
Yeah, and he's and what I like about that as well, I always forget that he's got like rivulets of carbonite down his face, and they sort of go, oh yeah, actually looks quite painful.
Yeah, all these sort of negative things have happened.
Yeah,
It's
much like Rogue One.
Yeah.
Everybody's died.
But nobody's died. Everybody's still alive.
But
because
nobody's died, but it's...
Everybody's on a bit of a downturn.
Yeah.
Hoping that by the time they get into the next one, it's going to be better.
It's going to pick up again a little bit,
Yeah.
And Luke gets his hand back because why? Because they couldn't be asked to make a robot hand all the time. They were like, let's give it some skin and we'll just show everybody that he's got a robot hand.
Oh, yeah.
Because then if he takes his glove off, it doesn't matter.
He does have a robot hand because we see it in episode 7 or 8. I think
and in Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's got the robot hand, but at that moment in time, they just sort of prosthetically put that one on there. But yeah, so that ends, and then we go into episode 6.
Now, episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
Return.
Straight away, I'm gonna tell you some negative things about this. So I've said in the past that I think episode 6 was my favourite. Growing up, it was my favourite. Probably because I was little and I enjoyed
the big battle, the lightsaber battle.
I enjoyed the Ewoks. I enjoyed the atmosphere was a bit more jovial at times. It was a bit more silly.
Yeah.
But now I look at it and I go, well, hang on. One, the CGI is out of control.
Yeah.
The stuff that happens at Jabba's palace is just entirely CGI.
And it's silly.
Outside on the skiff and all that. Like the ships are all now overdone with CGI. They just don't look that good. Like they haven't quite mastered the lighting effects on it at that point. So shading's not quite right. So it looks...
It's just a blob of colour.
It looks a bit wrong. It looks very wrong. The other thing I don't really like about it is the alien species you see now are more comic book than ever. Like they're just more exaggerated features. They look too cartoony.
Yeah.
When you see them in episode 4 in the cantina,
they're all prosthetics.
but they're all like quite muted colours, quite sort of like they've lived in the sand.
Yeah.
And they've kind of got that sheen to them of like, or a lack of sheen to them that suggests everybody's a bit dark there. It's a bit dull.
It's dirty, grubby,
Whereas at Jabba's palace, you see all these creatures and all of a sudden they're like vibrant and they're like alive and you're like, it feels wrong.
Yeah.
And when the song plays, when the Twi'lek's doing a dance and she's then dropped in with the
Rancor.
Rancor, and then suddenly the band plays and you've got these two CGI characters which look completely out of place.
Yeah. And
the song's fine.
Yeah.
But the
singers are weird, and because they're CGI, but the people playing the instruments are prosthetic.
Yeah, they just sort of jar against each other, and it's kind of... It takes you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, and especially when they go up to the camera and they show their mouths. That's like prequel era film crap.
It's just so exaggerated, and they just and actually, it
didn't need it.
Yeah, and I think it lost a bit there, but it's not all bad. Because there's parts of this film which I actually enjoy, and when I looked at it, I actually thought, do you know what, this was really good that we got this. But just staying on the CGI thing, skipping ahead to the very end, they have the party.
Yeah.
And then we see like all these other planets, like Tatooine, CGI.
Coruscant,
CGI. Naboo,
CGI.
With all the Jar Jars.
You stood on top of the buildings.
Yeah, all those Gungans and whatever, all CGI. Just seemed a bit over the top and a bit unnecessary. Like we didn't need to see it. Like we don't need to see the Gungans. They haven't appeared in that story.
Yeah.
Like they're in 1, 2, and 3. That's one story.
Yeah.
4, 5, and 6 is another story. Yes, it's a continuation if you want to look at it that way.
And it's further along in time, but it's actually backwards in time.
But it's so far apart.
Yeah, you don't need to see it, because I looked around and because I don't remember those bits.
No,
because I must have had like the video Grandad ad and then the DVD I had
Yeah.
was still before that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the edition we watched of episode 6, I was like, that stuff is I've never seen it.
No.
So that was totally brand new to me. And I think I sort of turned round because the music was going on for ages. And I was
Yeah,
like,
the intro, they've just looped it.
Yeah.
And looped it until they've got all these other places sort of, they've
Done.
had their go at dancing before the music kicks in again and you're back to where the Ewoks are partying.
But they didn't need it. And I'll tell you for why. Because 4, 5 and 6 are almost cowboy films.
Yeah.
You know, they're dusty, they're horrible, everything's dirty, it's muddy woodland. Endor is a wood, but it's very old and grainy.
Yeah.
And then what you've done is you've got a grainy old film and you've gone, do you know what we're going to do? Here is a super new age, shiny Coruscant. and it literally, it doesn't ruin episode 6 for me because I love it, but it definitely made me cringe a bit because I was like, the whole film is like a John Wayne Western.
Yeah.
And what you've done there is you've put a Tron clip in there. Imagine seeing a bit of Tron in the John Wayne film and you're sort of going, oh God, no, that don't belong there because it's different.
It's badly photoshopped, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And the same, I still love the film. Has it ruined the film? No, but...
No, it didn't ruin the film at all, but it didn't need it.
It just adds this thing that it was unnecessary,
Yeah.
but actually draws attention to itself, whereas the whole point of having a CGI is to enhance,
Yeah.
but not draw.
Yeah.
Like in my mind, you shouldn't even know it was CGI, but I mean, I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of CGI generally, as I probably discussed here before. But onto some good stuff,
Yeah.
because there is plenty of good stuff in there.
Oh, yeah.
The Emperor,
Oh, he finally shows up and he's
he
butt fuck
is
ugly.
and he's amazing.
Yeah.
I love the Emperor in this film.
Yeah. Yeah. The way he talks is how, like, when they talk about him and you don't see him in episode 4,
Yeah.
like, you want him to be this fucking old, you know, he's obviously in charge, he's obviously evil.
Yeah.
And when he gets off the ship and he talks to Vader and his mouth is just like a little oblong.
Pursed lips. And
Yeah, and it's just
something dark side.
and he doesn't move his lips very much because he's just talking like this all the time. But then you've got Vader in his mask and you can't see him talking at all. And you're like,
No.
God, like what a perfect combination of flat, black, nothingness. But that's what they are
Yeah.
because they're just darkness.
But when he starts laughing as well,
Yeah,
and you hear him.
Yeah.
Like at one point in the film, Luke's in trouble. And
yeah.
you just hear. Oh, in fact, no. Luke's defeated Vader,
Yes, he's put him down and he's going,
and you just in the background you could just hear, the Emperor having a proper laugh about it.
Yeah, and he's horrible to Vader.
But
I think
it's-
I've said before, he's disgusting to him.
So I think episode 5 I really like because it kind of brings this darkness, this grittiness, this sort of more. It's cleaner looking
Yes.
than episode 4. Like
Cameras are new, yeah.
yeah, like Lord Helmet
Yeah.
is super shiny,
Yeah.
and when they stick him in front of the big window with the stars behind, and you
Yeah.
can see things happening. There's like a really nice contrast, but it's like it's a great shot, but it's so clean. It's like it could have been done this year.
Yeah.
Episode 6 kind of takes the same thing, adds in some stupid CGI and some cartoon-like characters,
Yeah.
which kind of ruins, but the stuff is really good, which is really good, like the Emperor being there, Darth Vader still super shiny,
Yeah.
but also gritty,
Yeah.
but it's a clean picture, and it's just all these things just look really good.
Yeah.
And I quite like the Ewoks, but the Ewoks are real for the film.
Yeah, they're literal children in thingies.
I think some people who dislike episode 6 would say they don't like the Ewoks. That's the thing that annoys them. In the same way that I don't like Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah. The Gungans, yeah.
Yeah, they're unnecessary, but they don't exist
Yeah.
because they're just all computer generated. They don't really exist in that film.
Yeah. Whereas the Ewoks are real people, much like the Wookiees.
Yeah, they're really there, and they really are interacting with those people
Yeah.
that are around them.
So they're just not looking at a dude with a black suit on and a
No.
couple of white dots on his face. They're like, Harrison Ford is looking at a child in a bear costume and he's talking to it. And so when he's looking at it and he's making his funny face, it's believable because he's making a funny face at a kid in a suit and he's going, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
George Lucas is on LSD. Do you know what I mean? But I really like that part of it because, and you sort of notice it in Jabba's palace when Luke goes there, and Jabba's obviously the big prosthetic worm.
Yeah.
And when Leia strangles him, but Luke actually looks at this thing, and you can tell he's trying not to laugh because he looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because he is.
He is ridiculous.
And Luke's like, who do you think you are? You bloody slob.
So this is one of those things that I like Jabba the Hutt, and as a character, I like him, and the way he looks, I like. When they changed Jabba to be the slug-like Hutt in Episode 4, and I made a reference to it, there's a part of me that thinks if he wasn't so cartoonish, if he was just a bloke, but a really nasty gangster type bloke, would it be any worse? I don't think it would. No. The fact that he's a slug is fine. I don't mind
it's
that.
It's neither here nor there.
But I think it's the addition of all the other characters, like all the other species there, which are just so weird looking and so cartoonish that actually
they take away from it because he's supposed to be garish because he's a big fat slug.
Yeah.
But because you've got the singing beast man who roars at the camera, so it's like fourth wall breaking. You're like, well, Jabba's not so imposing now.
No,
because you've cocked it up by putting that cartoon in my face.
Yeah,
first.
it's so bright and trying to jump out the screen that actually Jabba now looks flat.
Yeah, in the background.
Whereas he should be up there as being just disgusting.
Yeah, and you should be like, oh God, he's horrible, and he's eating the frogs raw.
Yeah,
but again, he eats a frog raw, but you don't care about it because you're still shocked from the crap sort of CGI of the singers that you're like, oh, that doesn't bother me no more. Yeah. Whereas before, when they didn't have them, like on the video I've seen, you're sort of like, oh yeah, Jabba's a bit more because it's just the way it is.
Yeah,
it's like that. But yeah, I like that. What I also find weird about that is that palace is massive, and yet he sleeps in the tiniest little,
with
audience chamber with everybody else. They've got a tiny stage for music, and I'm like, that haven't you got like a theatre space?
Yeah,
you can have the band in a big sort of rock hall in that massive mansion of yours, but you all share this tiny little room together and have an orgy like a Roman sort of thing. But yeah, and you know why they've done it, because they've gone, right, this is the set. And we need Leia to free Han. Yeah. And he's got to be there. So what's the point on putting him in his bedroom out of the way?
Yeah.
So let's just make it so he sleeps there because he's really lazy. But the Hutts are supposed to be really smart creatures, like the slug people. Yeah. They're supposed to be really smart.
As gangsters and crime lords, and
they've got the knack for it.
Yeah. They need to understand what people are going to be like.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what they do. But. Yeah, and then obviously the Rancor scene's good, and Luke gets out, and Han escapes, and he's blind for a little while, and it's just, you feel for Han, you're like, oh, there he is.
Yeah.
He's back.
And it's nice to see it all come together, like R2's always had the lightsaber.
Yeah, it's been...
C-3PO's got absolutely no idea what's going on.
Yeah, he doesn't realise they're even the gift, and R2's like, shut up, we're the gift.
Yeah.
Stop going on.
He's got absolutely no clue what the plan is. Like R2's got all the details and is absolutely prepared for everything.
Yeah, it's like whoever programmed R2 put a human soul in there.
Yeah,
and but all the R2 droids have this sort of weird. They're able to read a situation and have an emotional response to it.
Yeah,
whereas all the other droids are just like, nah.
And C-3PO is still the most annoying character.
Oh yeah,
and it's funny because in the films, he's always getting told to shut up.
Yeah.
Everybody tells him he talks too much. Like, it doesn't matter which film it is. At some point, they're going to be like, right, we need to go through here quietly. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. Or he's like, what sort of droid are you? My name's C-3PO, human cyborg relations. Yes, but what are you?
Yeah.
Like, what can you do? Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
How many languages can you speak? Oh, I'm fluent
in
some-
6 million languages.
And he's about to carry on. No, that's fine.
Yeah,
You'll do. We need a translator.
yeah.
Like, it's funny. I think it's funny because he is annoying, but actually, it's other people's response to him that makes it
What it is.
worthwhile. Yeah,
Yeah,
And if,
yeah.
and if they didn't have a negative response to him, he would just be annoying.
Yeah, but it's easier to watch because you're going, they're getting annoyed as well.
Yeah, we're all on the same page. We can all see him.
Yeah.
We can all hear him.
Yeah.
I relate, and they relate.
But it's that typical thing, isn't it, where George Lucas has written it and he's gone, yeah, but he's trying to tell him something important.
Yeah.
You know, the hyperdrive thing, blah, blah, blah. And then Han Solo's
yeah,
like...
but that's it. That's it. R2 tries to tell C-3PO, and C-3PO shuts down R2 from saying about the hyperdrive being disabled.
Yeah, but then when he tells Han, he's like, oh, the hyperdrive's been disabled. And then Han does the same thing, though, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Chewie, check the hyperdrive.
It's because I think it's because 3PO thinks that he's above R2D2.
Yeah, but he's bloody damn well not.
It is nowhere near.
No.
Do you know what he's like? As a little analogy, because I've been watching Red Dwarf.
Oh, okay.
C-3PO is Arnold J. Rimmer.
Yeah.
R2D2 is Dave Lister.
Yeah.
He's the one who's more in control of everything.
Yeah.
Is more aware of what he needs to do and how to go about it. But you've got C-3PO, Arnold J. Rimmer, who thinks he's in charge and doing the right thing, but actually it's the complete opposite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny situation, and I really enjoyed it. Anyway, anything else you'd like to add about?
Not really. They're just really great films, and I love them. And I could talk about them for ages and break stuff down. But I love how the more I saw them, and obviously we've seen them on the big screen now. Like there's so many like little things that you notice, and you go, "Oh, actually, that is pretty cool."
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. Still funny how Luke kicks Boba Fett with thin air. And he sort of goes, and I get why they do it, because they obviously had to try and do the stunts on the ship, on the little boat platform thing, and they were like, oh yeah, just pretend you're fighting,
Yeah.
because nobody's going to notice, because it's cool, you got your lightsaber out. But everybody goes, he didn't actually touch one of them. And then Han's trying to shoot the Sarlacc, and it's just all a bit funny. And then Leia strangles singing, Leia in that bloody suit, man. I mean, Christ.
Yeah.
How old's that film now? Like 40 years old or whatever?
Well, that one's 41 years old.
And you think, Jesus Christ, absolutely smoking.
Yeah.
Bloody Nora. She must be cold. The desert's cold at night. She must be bloody freezing.
Yeah, it's a good job they filmed it in the day then, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she'd have nipples that could cut glass.
Yeah.
But,
Right.
no, really good. Really enjoyed it. Great that the cinema did that. Nice to have the little breaks in between. We sort of smashed that. It was so good.
Yeah.
And I love Lando as well, by the way. Just end on that.
Yeah, Lando's a cool character
He's a cool dude.
who you want to dislike in episode 5, but actually
He's all right.
he's still a cool guy, isn't he?
Yeah, and he nicks Han's waistcoat and shirt
Yeah.
when he pilots the Falcon. It's like he goes in his room and he goes, oh, I'll drop the cape. Do you know what I'm going to wear? I'll just wear that.
Yeah.
Oh, it fits. Lovely. Just a little thing there for you when he becomes the pilot of the Falcon, yeah.
Yeah. Right, well, that is nearly 1 hour and 10 minutes. Can you believe that?
Oh, blimey.
Easy to get carried away, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So we'll wrap that up, and we will speak to you again on Friday and then Monday,
Yeah.
where we'll have something else to talk about, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Right, well, pleasure talking to you as always.
And you, good sir.
Look after yourself
Be good.
and stay out of the sand.